Hey y'all, we are back after a week hiatus. It was nice to take a little bit of time. I started a new job and got to enjoy it a little bit and relax with the wife as we're preparing for the kid. But if you're watching on YouTube and you're going to be listening to this episode shortly, no one from the Manly Musings besides myself is here. So tonight we bring you Joe Mac from the Mush Squad Podcast. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, you listen, you ask and I deliver, man. Bring the righty in from the bullpen. We're either up 8 runs or we're down 8 runs. Either way, I'll eat up some innings in replacement of Kevin. So I'm here, happy to be here, Merritt, happy to share some time with you, my friend.
Always a pleasure to have you, Joe Mac. You're always welcome anytime. It's it is good to have you here, mainly for the fact we've talked about doing a spinoff with you guys. I don't know, since we started this stuff and we had you on. So it's good to finally at least get it started. We'll get there eventually where all 4 of us are on one screen.
I don't think any Zoom meeting or YouTube channel can handle all 4 of us talking on one podcast. So we'll continue these crossovers until we get to that bridge.
I think Kevin will be very quiet during those podcasts.
Shout out Kevin, though. Shout out my boy Kevin.
Love you, buddy. You'll be back on next week. I know we have a big surprise coming next week. Very, very, very excited about that one. Might drop a little bit of a hint at the end. Okay. So everyone, you have to listen through the whole episode. But tonight, guys, honestly, with Joe Mac joining, I want to talk college football. I want to talk NFL. Today was really the big day in the NFL. It's cut day. Everyone's down to 53 man. And he got next Thursday? We got 10 days.
Next Thursday. We are 10 days out. I saw a stat. I think it was on Twitter last week or X now. I don't think it's Twitter anymore. It might be called X now.
Mine still looks like Twitter. Mine still has the bird. I don't know why.
Probably haven't done the update then. I don't know. But we'll never mind that. Never mind. But I saw a tweet last week that said from last week until Valentine's Day, there are more days with collegiate or professional football being played on them than there aren't. So let me repeat that. From now until mid-February, 7 days a week, we get more football days than no football days. It's a great time to be in America.
I'm so happy about that. That's I can't wait. This weekend is my birthday. So my wife literally asked me the question, what do you want to do for your birthday? Well, West Virginia plays Penn State and I want to play basketball. So I was like, I just want to play basketball for 4 or 5 hours, come home, shower, watch football and not be disturbed. And she goes, okay, that's fine. That's easy.
Yeah, that's a very easy birthday request. Leave me alone. I'm getting sweaty and then I'm watching West Virginia play football. And win, lose, or draw, doesn't matter. It's still our team.
Getting drunk because they probably going to lose.
Yeah, but the real question is, Merritt, are they going to cover? That's why I'm here today.
Is it 20 and a half, I heard, is the...
Let me triple check that.
Yeah, double check, because I would say they're going to cover.
Yeah, I have it at 21 and a half right now.
They went up. Ooh, okay. So I heard the other day it was 20 and a half. So now
20 and a half. Sorry, we're 20 and a half.
Okay.
21 and a half was a non-reputable source.
Wow.
20.5.
I think they cover. I don't think it's a blowout like everyone potentially predicts. You know, Pat McAfee thinks we're going to go in there and stomp everybody. So I'm cool.
Maybe, you know, when pigs fly.
Hey, you know what? It's West Virginia. I would not be shocked if pigs did fly there somewhere.
You were talking about NFL cut day.
Yes, let's
going down to 53. How about before we dive into your Patriots, New York Jets cutting their punter, Thomas Morstead?
Wait. They cut. So I've only paid attention to the Patriots and like a couple of the transactions that come across Twitter from Adam Schefter. They seriously cut their punter.
They don't have a punter on their roster now. So they're saying it's just like numbers type, like they're going to cut him and re-sign him. But I don't know how that makes sense.
So, you know what? I bet it's like the Patriots did with Nick Folk a couple of years ago, or even last year, they cut him for the first week, and then basically when they got to week 1, they brought him up from the practice squad.
Right.
And you can only do that, I think, 2 or 3 times, and then he has to be signed to the active roster for the rest of the season, or you lose him.
Yeah, interesting to say the least.
That literally makes no sense to me.
Yeah, a lot of roster cuts. I know ESPN has been going crazy with alerts all day for me. But yeah, you want to dive into it with your New England Patriots and what their plan is under center?
I don't know what their plan is. Man, I'd love to say that I feel confident with their moves, but I don't. Not at all. If no one's seen or heard in Boston, but Bailey Zappi and Malik Cunningham, plus Trace McSorley, who was cut earlier in the week, all were released. That means the Patriots have 1 quarterback left on their roster, Mr. Mac Jones, which, hey, I'm a Mac Jones guy. I think he's good. I think he's going to have a better year this year. But it's very scary to see only 1 quarterback. And now all 29 other teams have the opportunity, or 31 other teams rather, have the opportunity to snack up one of these guys.
Right. And let's be honest, a lot of the top quarterbacks in the league today, the Lamar Jacksons, the Pat Mahomes, are those mobile type quarterbacks. And in the event like what happened last year in Baltimore, when Lamar Jackson missed a good portion of the season, you have to have someone who fits the same type of quarterback to run the same type of offense successfully. You know who would fit in really nice in Baltimore as a backup quarterback? Malik Cunningham, a mobile quarterback with a strong arm. God forbid something happens to Lamar Jackson. Well, that might be a nice move.
Well, they've got their backup who was a Pro Bowler.
Let's not talk about the Pro Bowl now. It's a joke. Merritt, if I was in the NFL right now, I could potentially be in the Pro Bowl, okay? That's how big of a joke the Pro Bowl is.
That's very true. Yeah, I don't really understand the move, but apparently from reports is Bailey Zappi has not cleaned out his locker at all. So the projection is that he comes back to the practice squad. Right. But there's also rumors now because there's some big name quarterbacks that are out there on the free agent market at this moment. You have McCoy. You have the guy who balled out at the end of preseason for the Dallas Cowboys, my boy, Will Grier.
Right. Love Will Grier. Florida boy and West Virginia boy.
Yes, sir. You know what? When he was drafted by Carolina, like right in front of the Patriots, I was pissed. I wanted Will Grier in a Patriots uniform. I thought he would have been the perfect Patriot.
Right.
Now we have the opportunity because honestly, I think he's a better option than Bailey Zappi. He is mobile. So we have an option there, but very interesting moves. Another big one that I was actually I'm like looking through, I'm like, oh, let's see what they did. They kept Ezekiel Elliott, which is assumed, but he hasn't played a game. Did not play in the past 2 preseason games. They have 3 running backs on their roster. That's it. Ramondre, Zeke, and I forgot the third. See, it doesn't matter because
I got the depth chart right here. You have Stevenson, Zeke. That's all they have on the depth chart right now. The 2-team. Matthew Slater as the hybrid position, wide receiver, running back. But everything else.
Slater's your special teams captain, so he's not going anywhere. But they released Ty Montgomery. They released Jonathan, JJ Taylor, Kevin Harris, who's a sophomore, but he has had a very bad preseason. He got released. I'm still gonna say my biggest was scratching my head was Bailey Zappi and Malik, but we kept really good wide receivers, which I'm actually excited about.
And I'll tell you what, none of the wide receivers the Patriots have currently are all pro caliber wide receivers.
No.
None of them are going to take your breath away. None of them are going to have 110 receptions, 1,400 yards, nothing like that. But what I will say is the New England Patriots, outside of one or two really good years by Julian Edelman and that all-time season by Randy Moss,
Yep,
have really taken chicken shit and turned it into chicken salad when it comes to your wide receiver core. And
I can agree to that.
Even as a Dolphins fan, having Mike Gesicki on the team, who's not necessarily the best blocking tight end, but man, he's got some good hands. As a backup to Hunter Henry, Juju is on the team, Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne. It's the squad is deep. The wide receiver core is deep, and I think it's better weapons than they've had in the past few years in New England.
And the Patriots kept Matt Skoll. Interesting. Interesting on that one. I'm looking at the roster now. Very, very interesting roster. They kept a lot more corners than I expected, and I'm only going to assume that they did that because Jack Jones is going to be suspended for a while for gun charges.
I'll tell you what, my guy is slated to be one of the starting safeties for you, Jabril Peppers.
I love Jabril. I loved that signing last year. I thought it brought back the tenacity and that toughness that we were missing. And watching him in preseason, the boy's coming out to kill somebody.
He is a New Jersey high school football legend over here. He's one of a handful of people in the history of the NJSIAA, which is like the interscholastics program here, to have 4 state championship rings. He got one as a freshman and sophomore at Don Bosco, which is like renowned as one of the best programs in the nation, and transferred to Paramus Catholic and carried that school on his back for 2 years and won 2 rings there. Literally never came off the field, kick return, punt return, quarterback, safety, Swiss Army knife on the football field, and got a full ride to Michigan, where he was, a preseason Heisman candidate. He was a Swiss Army knife up there. So shout out Jabril. Always good to see him make a roster and play lights out defense, which is what I'm expecting from him.
Me too. And it'll be good to have. I don't know if he'll be a starter. I think he kind of comes in for Duggar on plays, but he can also play that middle linebacker spot.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. Speaking of your Dolphins, let's see. I got to ask the question. How do you feel about Eli Apple being a corner on your team?
Not opposed to it. I think from my time of watching him as a New York Giant, because in the New York marketplace, you can only watch Giant games, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can only watch Jets or Giants, but there's streaming services that I've found that I can watch my team.
Nice. I think he's a joke of a football player. I don't think he's that good. But it's a temporary thing. As a Dolphins fan, the biggest, most exciting thing I've seen in the last few years was when we traded for Jalen Ramsey, the Tyreek Hill trade and the Jalen Ramsey trade. And although it might not be till week 6, 7, 8 until we see Jalen Ramsey come November, I think we'll be able to float on with a winning record until we get him back. And then I think bringing him back onto the field brings us to another level. And hopefully we get to be very competitive in this highly competitive AFC East.
I think you said it last week or so on your pod that this might be the toughest division in not just the AFC, but potentially the NFL.
Yeah, everyone always has been the story since Rodgers has moved to the AFC is the AFC is so much better than the NFC. The AFC is so much better than the NFC. Oh my God, the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Raiders out west and the Broncos. Yeah, 2 of those teams are dumpster fires. The Broncos and the Raiders are dumpster fires right now.
You can almost put the Chargers in there too, because they can't figure out how to get past the first round of the playoffs.
all four teams in the AFC East are playoff contenders. I wouldn't be surprised. Not my actual prediction from the Mush Squad podcast,
right?
But it wouldn't surprise me if all four teams have winning records this season, Merritt, in the AFC East.
Honestly, I think the Patriots can squeak by at 9-8. I don't think they might sneak in at 10-7. I think that's their best chance of their best record right there, 10-7. I still think everything runs through Buffalo right now. We haven't seen what the Rodgers effect truly is going to be for the Jets because he only played this much of time during preseason.
Preseason don't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count for shit. Even the first week or two doesn't really count in the NFL these days. Miami, I know it's your team. They're probably, in my opinion, the biggest question mark.
Yes.
Out of everybody. Everyone else seems to be like, okay, the Patriots are going to be mediocre. The Bills, if they can figure out a couple of things, they're going to be really good. The Jets, if that offensive line can hold up, they're going to be a really good team.
Yes.
Do I want them to fail miserably? Oh my God, yes, because it's the Jets.
Right.
But Miami's the one team, if they can stay healthy, and that's a big if, especially with the players they have, and we've seen the injuries in the past, they could actually rival the Bills to be that top spot. But they have to stay healthy.
Yeah, I think it all lies on the shoulders. It's a make or break season for Tua. They didn't pick up his fifth-year option. So if he doesn't do good or he gets hurt and doesn't succeed this year, he will not be a Miami Dolphin next season, or he'll be a Miami Dolphin for janitor's pay next season. So it's really make or break for him. He needs to show that he can stay on the field and stay healthy. He put on about 28 pounds of muscle this offseason. Guy was living in the gym for 6 days a week, eating 3,000 calories of whey protein a day. So the dude is huge now. His whole arm, he's got a whole arm tattoo, full sleeve he got in the offseason. I
saw that. I'm like,
oh. So he looks like a Mustang. He looks like a Corvette. But the problem is not all Corvettes run like Corvettes. Some run like 94 Corollas. So you got to keep him on the field. You got to keep him standing on his feet. If they're able to do that, you have the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. Tyreek Hill with 3 games of Skylar Thompson as his quarterback last year, finished with about 1,700 yards and 9 touchdowns. And Jalen Waddle averaged 18 yards a catch. So every time Jalen Waddle caught the football team, the Miami Dolphins, were moving about 20 yards down the field. Just last year on 13 and a half games from Tua. You keep him on the field for all 17, and if he plays in that playoff game against the Bills last year, the Miami Dolphins are in the divisional round, not the Buffalo Bills. And we could be looking at a different playoff scenario. But nonetheless, health is, just like you said, Merritt, the biggest thing for the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, it is. It will be interesting. I'm very much excited for the NFL season to finally kick off. It feels like it's forever, doesn't it? That we haven't had a football game on TV. Preseason, you watch it, but then I think I fell asleep during the 2 out of the 3 Patriots preseason games. I literally sat on my couch. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I had to work the Giants-Panthers preseason game at MetLife Stadium a couple weeks ago. And the only good thing that came out of that was Bryce Young's parents were in my section, and he came over to say what's up after the game. So his dad's a G, by the way.
So you're pulling a Kevin and working MetLife nowadays?
Yeah, I've been there since it opened. I've been there.
Nice.
Kevin's in one department. I work in guest services. So like I check your tickets and tell you where your seat is. But my section I do that in, it just so happens to be on the visitors' sideline each and every week. So
nice. Well, if
come to the Patriots game this year, I'll hook you up with a football or something.
Ooh. I've been trying. So I want to go to the Patriots game. The Patriot Jets tickets are 2 years ago, dirt cheap. Got them for like $50, like 2 weeks before the game. Fantastic. This year they're like $300 a piece. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to spend that. But the Giants Patriot tickets after Thanksgiving. Really, really good. Downside, that's like 3 weeks before my wife is due.
Might not be able to make that trip.
Yeah. It's up to her. So we'll see. But man, let's just look at this. So I know I wrote up a bunch of stuff. I want to talk about the Cardinals real quick, mainly for the fact they traded for a quarterback that has never played in their system, has no idea how to run their system 3 days ago. They released the quarterback that knows how to run their system, who plays well in that system, and is a veteran who may not be fantastic in Colt McCoy, but he's serviceable.
Right.
And he can do well. And you have Kyler Murray wearing a bra. So there's a lot of things to unpack with the Cardinals at this point. I'm just thinking they're tanking for Caleb Williams at this moment.
And it's interesting because I have two perspectives on it. The first perspective is I've never been a fan of a franchise that mails it in at any point of the season, i.e. I'm wearing a New York Yankees hat right now. We are 20-something games back for the division, and there are 0% chance of us making the playoffs, but I'm still a Yankees fan because they're still running Judge out 6 days a week, and they're still running Garrett Cole, the AL Cy Young frontrunner, out once a week for his start. But when you have a NFL franchise that makes these questionable moves, Merritt, they traded Isaiah Simmons to the Giants last week. Isaiah Simmons was a 2020 first-round pick. I believe he was either 4th or 5th overall. A first-round pick, and they traded him for a 5th rounder. He was one of those players that he's really good at everything, so you don't know how to play him or where to play him. So they just never were able to take advantage of him. And you have someone like Budda Baker at safety, so you can't really play him at the same position as Budda Baker, but you line him up in that Jabril Peppers 4th linebacker, monster back, whatever you want to call it, and you just let him go wild. He gets traded to the Giants, and Brian Dable, head coach of the Giants, goes, so what do you like doing the best? Like, what's your favorite thing to do? He's like, I like rushing the quarterback. And in the preseason, he had like 3 quarterback rushes. He had I think a half a sack. Just like, let him do what he's got to do. That's it. It's not hard.
I can't believe they did that trade. Like that made no sense.
Yeah. And they traded an offensive lineman who started something like 30 of the last 32 games for a 5th rounder.
Yeah, and where did he go? Didn't he end up in, I thought, was it Carolina?
Might be Carolina. It was
if my computer would load, I could tell you, but it's just kind of hanging out. Yeah.
Just releasing Colt McCoy. Oh, Josh Jones traded to Houston for a 5th. And Isaiah Simmons was traded for a 7th. So I was wrong.
Oh,
they got less in return.
And they signed Marlon Mack and then put him on the injury on IR.
So my one perspective is I don't respect franchises that tank like this. It's clearly a tank job. But let's be honest. Looking at the schedule real quick, Merritt, even if their team was healthy and you have Kyler Murray running out there, the Commanders, the Giants, and the Cowboys, and the Niners, and the Bengals first 5 weeks. That's an 0-5 start. Maybe they get 1 win over one of those 5 teams.
I honestly am looking at it right now with you.
Yeah. Rams is a toss-up.
Even with a good team, they lose 8 out of the first 9 games.
Yeah. Seahawks, Ravens, Browns, Falcons are going to be competitive this year. Maybe they beat the Rams twice. Maybe they beat the Texans and
maybe
the
Pittsburgh,
the Bears, maybe the Steelers. Yeah.
Honestly, I might put the Bears in contention.
Yeah.
For that NFC North title right there, mainly for the fact that they got much better with Justin Fields and getting now I just lost his name.
Which one? The receiver?
Yeah.
DJ Moore.
Thank you. I'm
No,
like sitting there.
listen, I like what the Bears are doing.
I do too.
And I really liked the Cardinals' first round pick this year too, Paris Johnson, the lineman from Ohio State. I think he weighs more than both of us combined.
That's impressive because we are both big men.
And what they need to do is they needed to protect Kyler. Obviously he had the ACL tear and might not play till late October, November. But you need to do everything you can to protect your franchise quarterback, or who we thought was the franchise quarterback. And it just doesn't look like it is that way anymore.
I don't think so. And I think we're finally realizing that a small quarterback, and no offense, because Bryce Young's small, a couple other quarterbacks
Wilson
are smaller, but use Russ as a great example. That's what Kyler should be. Right. Run when I need to, throw it away when I have to. He doesn't know that yet.
No.
Horrible. I don't know. He got way too much money for being as bad as he is at times. But hey, I'm not the one paying him.
Right. not my paycheck, and I'm not a Cardinals fan, so it doesn't bother me either way.
So you mentioned the Rams, and I thought this was hysterical. Matthew Stafford's wife, I think Kelly Stafford, came out and said that her husband is not able to connect with his younger teammates. And his quote was, after going to meetings and coming out, they just go right to their phones. He goes, I don't know if I should be the dad and tell them to put their phones away, or what should I do? Apparently, he's asked the operations teams and stuff to create him a Facebook page so he can be comfortable with social media. I'm going, your wife is all over Instagram and Twitter. Talk to her. She'll figure it out and show you, bro.
I have the depth chart up here. I don't know if you're looking at the Rams depth chart. Besides Cooper Kupp, and I know Van Jefferson's name as well.
Yep.
I don't know another player.
I know Higbee.
Tyler Higbee, he's a tight end.
And Cam Akers.
I know Cam Akers. But besides Stetson Bennett, because I know him from Georgia, I don't know any of the players on this offense besides Stafford, Stetson Bennett, Cam Akers, Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee. There's 30 other names here. I can't recognize one of them.
Yeah, neither can I. And then I look down at the next on the defensive side. I know one name, and
just
that is
one.
It.
Just one. So you want to talk about tanking? Stafford got his ring. He'll end up in the Hall of Fame one day. Is this the last year for Stafford in LA? And are they also in the tank committee here to try and get Caleb Williams? Keep the LA guy in LA?
You know what? That would be interesting if they do, because you're going to have two teams at the end of the year that are going to be like, hey, no, you kick it and win. You kick or win. It's going to be bad. Though I've read things that are basically saying that the Rams could be a sneaky good team.
Yeah, listen, I'll never count Matthew Stafford out except for when he's literally dying on the field.
I'll never count McVay out with his offense. I'll never count him out of any game until it's like 45-0. Then I'll count him out a little bit.
I don't see them being able to keep up with teams this year with that offense.
I agree. I definitely agree, especially in that division.
Yeah.
And I know I didn't put this on here, but I kind of want to talk about it. The Trey Lance trade. I don't know if I understand that move. And getting what they got in return.
Right. So from the 49ers perspective, it's just cutting out the option of potentially having Trey Lance on your team. All this move was, hey, I can't even think of the guy's name now. The quarterback, Brock Purdy. You're our guy now. Like that's all this move says. For the Cowboys' perspective, and again, not that I want to give any light of day to Jerry Jones and these Cowgirls, but as the owner, CEO, GM of this team, because it makes sense when you're all three of those positions at once.
Always.
Not telling your head coach or the quarterback of your team that you're making this move is a little shady here. Now, obviously, he's getting up there in age and might be considered a little senile with some of the things he says, losing his mind one day at a time.
Well, his comment about his defensive tackle who
he was only speeding by 66 miles per hour this time.
Yeah, so he went down 32. Wait, what?
Yeah, he said he's maturing because he only got three points in a moving violation instead of 6.
Idiot.
How does this motivate this Cowboys team? How does this motivate Dak? I don't think it does.
What's it do? It puts you lose a quarterback in Will Grier, who has been a serviceable backup his whole career, and he knows the offense that McCarthy is going to run.
Right.
And you bring in Trey Lance, who, no offense, is horrible and no fault to his own. He's been hurt. We're put into a really bad situation in San Francisco. What's that going to do? That team's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
I don't see it. If anyone tells me that the Cowboys are going to be phenomenal, I'm just going to laugh in their face. So
they'll be competitive in the NFC East because I think the Eagles are taking a step back this year. And I think that the Commanders and the Giants may be taking steps forward. So very similar to the AFC East, I think the NFC East will be competitive, and like 11-6 might win the division, but you might have 2 or 3 teams at 11-6. Maybe not the Cowboys out of all 4 of them, to be honest. But we all know that Cooper Rush is the backup to Dak Prescott. He went in.
Funny.
Think he's pretty serviceable as a quarterback. But I'm aligned with you. Will Grier lit up in preseason. He did everything you ask of a quarterback. I think he had the second or third game. He played the whole game.
He played the last game, the third game, because they told him Friday that they were going to release him, but they wanted to give him his final game so he could show out.
Right.
And he played the whole game and threw for the most passing yards in preseason history.
Yeah. But let's cut you for Trey Lance, who has, I think, 9 career starts since college.
Isn't the stat that Geno Smith had more pass attempts last year alone than Trey Lance has had since his freshman year of high school?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
Yep, that's exactly what I read. Yep.
That is ridiculous.
Because remember, Trey Lance got drafted in 2020 or was it 2020 or 2021 off of that short collegiate football year.
Oh my God. Yeah. I got to look. He was drafted the same year at 2021.
Yep.
Oh.
He has eight career games played, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And he's got a sack. He's got a tackle to his name, probably off an interception.
Or a fumble. My God. Yeah. I'm though very excited to see this Washington Commanders team. I think they're going to be really
good. They've put everything together the right way in Washington. And obviously, we all know the most exciting thing that happened for them this offseason was
New ownership.
So it's like, I like the Sam Howell kid. I like the running back duo between Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a nice 2-headed monster. And this defense is.
If Chase Young can stay healthy and finally be the Chase Young from his rookie year, it's going to be unreal. You look at the wide receivers they have: Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, all 3 studs in their own right. Yeah, I could see them potentially being that winner or being second in that NFC East.
And I like, talking on that defense, they drafted Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State, the cornerback, 6'1", 170 pounds, super thin like a rail. He's put on like 15 pounds in training camp. He's going to be a very good cornerback for them. And when you have Chase Young coming on your left side and Montez Sweat coming on your right side, you're going to be like, I got to get the ball out of my hand. I got to get the ball out of my hand. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Emmanuel Forbes, Kendall Fuller. You have some really good defensive backs on that team. And don't be surprised if, Emmanuel Forbes has 4 or 5 picks this year.
It would be a good thing for them because that team needs that to step up. I loved Rivera's comments earlier this week about Sam Howell. He goes, I wish I fucking known he was this good until the last 2 weeks of the season. He goes, I'm kicking myself. I'm like, oh God, you're just making it sound worse and worse that you signed Carson Wentz.
And you know what? I'm not a big Jacoby Brissett guy. Not that I have anything against Jacoby Brissett. Another Florida Gators. If you don't know, I'm a Florida Gators fan as well, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So he spent some time serviceable as a Gators quarterback, but there's never been a franchise, a team, a fan, an owner, a teammate on the face of the earth that said, I'm really happy Jacoby Brissett is my quarterback.
No, but you know what? They all say they love him as a teammate.
Great guy. But you know what? Great guys don't win football games, Merritt.
No, they do not. They do not. So it will be interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. The one team, I'm pretty sure we can look at each division and get pretty close to what team's going to win it. The only one that I can't is probably what's going to be the worst division in football this year, and that would be the NFC South.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts to look at these football teams. The only upside I see is a lot of youth coming up, young quarterbacks, young players, but it's not going to be fun to watch this year, unfortunately.
No, I think the most fun you'll see is Carolina playing, just to see Bryce Young throw the ball all over the place and run all over the place. Maybe Ritter in Atlanta will do well. Tampa's going with Baker, which hit or miss. And then I don't even know who New Orleans is starting.
Derek Carr. They signed him to.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
They gave Derek Carr $100 million this offseason.
Woohoo! Man, I'll take that money and run, bro. Like, damn.
And Alvin Kamara, who at one time or another was one of the best running backs in the league, he's suspended 6 games. Michael Thomas is healthy and playing football, and guess what he's doing? He's just running slants again because that's all he's good at. I'm just not big. I'm not big on the Saints. Their defense is nice. I like Cameron Jordan. I like Demario Davis. Tyrann Mathieu is there. Marcus May, who used to be a Jet. Marshawn Lattimore just signed with them recently. But again, the defense is great. They'll be holding teams to 17 points, but they might be scoring 7 points a game. Yeah. So not big on any team in this NFC South.
Nope. And then the one team that I'm hoping that just fails miserably because they decide that a former wide receiver is a really good quarterback and want to pay him a buttload of money is the Tennessee Titans. I just want to see them blow up at this point.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the Titans. I think if Tannehill stays healthy, he might have 1 season left in him. Because don't forget, they're only 2 or 3 years removed from the AFC Championship game.
Right. But they lost so much on that offense.
Right.
And you got older on that offense. No offense, I love me some DeAndre Hopkins, but not going to wow me every game. And Derrick Henry cannot keep carrying that load.
Yeah, you can't have Derrick Henry carry the ball 30 times a game anymore. The last let me look at this. So he was hurt a good portion of 2021. He only played 8 games.
But he still was leading rusher.
Yeah. In 2020 was when he had 2,027 yards, 17 touchdowns. 2022, 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. He's got a lot of mile on those tires, Merritt. I don't know. Obviously, he's still one of the top 5 to 8 running backs in the league. But when you have about 1,000 carries over the last 3 seasons with no sign of any passing offense.
Joe Mac, guess who's joining?
Oh, we have someone joining?
Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
What are you doing here?
What's up, y'all?
What are you doing here?
What up, Kev?
I'm not going to be on here long. I figured y'all are still recording, but I just wanted to come on and say, Joe Mac, thanks for taking my spot on the episode today. I fully appreciate you. Your boy has been working like crazy. And now I'm about to go jump on some fantasy drafts out here.
I'll see you in 45 minutes.
Yes, but shout out to y'all. How y'all holding up out here?
Good. I don't know if we should break the news to him, Merritt, that he's been fully replaced full time.
Yeah. Sorry, Kev.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, brother.
I
I couldn't do that to you. I could not do that.
No, it's all love, Kevin. I'm enjoying this, man. It's always a pleasure to jump on the Manly Musings podcast here with you guys and shoot the shit a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. And we got to get on yours at some point too.
Yeah, we're going to work on that crossover soon. Merritt and I were joking. I don't think there's a Zoom chat big enough for the 4 of us to all get into one. So we'll have to break it down one day or not.
Yes. Love it. So I am literally going to let y'all finish up the episode. I will see you. Merritt, good luck with the outro. I believe in you. I will see y'all soon.
Later, buddy. That was hysterical.
That's so funny.
Oh, my God. That's awesome. That was fantastic.
It's like we're a sports bar and he comes in, rips a shot, and goes home.
He's like, hey, guys, I'm just... My wife's yelling at me. Hold on. The hell just happened here? Well, yeah. Should we talk college football? Because we've been talking NFL so much.
Let's do it.
So did you see the number of people that traveled for the Notre Dame game this past weekend?
Not only did I see the number, I knew people who were in that.
You didn't.
One of my best friends, Barry, and his wife, Caroline, made the trip from the Portland, Maine area and went to Ireland for the week, made a family vacation out of it.
Okay, I like that.
He took his parents. His parents are straight off the boat from Ireland.
Cool.
So brought them back home and went to the game, made a vacation out of it, and got to see the Fighting Irish do Navy dirty over in Dublin.
I just feel bad for Navy. Like, why do they do this to themselves?
They're one of the, I don't want to say traditional teams. You have Army, Navy, Notre Dame, the programs, the schools, the universities, however you want to word it, that everybody recognizes no matter where they are.
That's true. And they both were wearing pretty cool uniforms too. I'll give them that.
Win, loss, or draw, our men and women in the armed forces have other things on their mind besides just football. But it's always cool to see like a Notre Dame Navy matchup or the Army Navy matchup. That's huge every year.
That's supposed to be at Gillette Stadium, I think, this year. I'm going to try to go to that one.
When it was at MetLife a few years ago. 90,000 cadets. It was awesome, dude.
That's got to be cool. My buddy's dad used to go to the game every year. They haven't in a while. So I'm like trying to convince him, be like, yo, let's try to go. But I'm like sitting there going, shoot, my kid's going to be born around then. Son of a gun. This kid is ruining things.
I'll tell you what, I think you've timed it properly though, because right in the heart of football season, your wife is due, I'm
going to be sitting there like this and be like, so this is what you do during football games. You yell at the TV.
Right. You have an excuse to sit on the couch.
Be like, honey, I can't move. He's sleeping. Can you get me a beer? Thank you. Right. I want to give a shout out to my wife though, for the simple fact that she went to the University of Massachusetts, the Minutemen. They won this past weekend against New Mexico State, 41-30. Hats off to UMass because they suck at basically every sport besides hockey.
But they got the dub.
They got that dub this weekend. big games coming up. Hey man, your Florida Gators are going up against those Utah Utes.
Huge upset last year over Utah. Utah was the number 6 seed last year going into and they're the defending Pac-12 champs. This time, instead of in Gainesville, it's in Utah, in Salt Lake City at Rice-Eccles Stadium. The line is Utah minus 6.5. Okay. Merritt, I'm betting my mortgage on Utah to cover. Okay. I think
honestly, I would. I
have no faith in the Florida Gators this year. I have no expectations from the Florida Gators this year.
Who's the coach now down there? Because they got rid of Mullins.
The Billy Napier. He was at, where was he before? Kent State or something like that.
I know that. I've heard the name.
From like a JUCO, but the quarterback competition, it's Max Brown might be starting. He's the freshman. You have Michael. I don't even want to talk about it. It makes me nauseous that, you have this Netflix documentary talking about tremendous Florida Gators teams and all the controversy that was surrounding it. But nonetheless, you had a Heisman Trophy quarterback, one of the best college football players of all time in Tim Tebow, 2 national championships for Tim Tebow in that squad. We haven't seen anything as good as that in the 12 years since they've all been gone.
I just want to mention that I loved that documentary, but I also hated that documentary all at the same time. I wanted them to dive so much deeper into all the crap that happened.
Listen, there's way too much they didn't even talk about. And as a Gators fan, I knew all this as it was going on.
I think everyone in the country knew it was happening.
Obviously, putting the Aaron Hernandez stuff to the side, all the nonsense that happened with Cam Newton was a Florida Gator. He was the quarterback and heir apparent to Chris Leak. Instead, he decides to go try and, steal some laptops from students and, nonsense. So
hey, you know what? There was no NIL money back then, so he needed some money.
He needed to make his money somehow. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to the Florida Gators year. Being the only game on Thursday night on ESPN primetime under the lights scares me because I don't need the exposure of how bad they're going to be. But a lot of good matchups to start the year.
Oh, phenomenal games.
On Saturday. And you know what? I don't really root for anybody but Florida, but I just love watching college football. Give me college football all day on Saturday, a crisp breeze in the air, an apple cider, an Angry Orchard in my hand, like some fried food, some wings.
Oh, dude, I
beat up on the couch.
I told my wife, I go, I cannot wait for football. And she goes, why? I go, Sundays, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the grocery store. Coming home, I'm smoking ribs. I'm making wings. I do not care. She goes, oh, I can't wait for that either. I go, exactly. It's the best part of the year right now.
I just told my better half, I said, Friday, I'm putting a portion of my check into our joint account, and then I'm buying a brand new crock pot because I make some great chilies and some pulled chicken dishes. Oh, yeah.
I gotta get
Love
that.
The football season.
I know. I'm excited. The first game I'm looking at the schedule real quick. And honestly, I could care less about any game besides the West Virginia game at the end of the night. But I gotta give it to. I'm excited for that TCU Colorado game to see what I want to see what primetime's all about. He picked football over his toes. He got his toes amputated. So let's see what this guy can do. Besides that, there's really no big matchups.
I like the North Carolina at South Carolina matchup. So to start the year off with that rivalry game is going to be huge. And then on Sunday, which is odd, but there's no NFL until the following week. So LSU. Of course I want my college football to spill over to Sunday.
Who doesn't?
You have LSU, Florida State. Northwestern Rutgers is going to get a bad rap because both teams are going to be bad this year. But I think it's going to be a good matchup because both teams aren't going to be great. So they got nothing to play for. So they're going to go ham. And then Clemson on Monday night under the lights. Again, no Monday Night Football. So, they're sprinkling in these ranked teams all weekend long from Saturday, 12 noon to Monday Night Football. So I love it. I'm excited about college football.
Yeah.
And with all this conference realignment going on and the Pac-12 becoming the Pac-4 after 2024.
And apparently the ACC was supposed to meet last night to vote about bringing SMU, Stanford, and Cal.
Yeah,
over.
It's eventually just going to be 4 conferences.
Yeah.
SEC, the ACC, the Big 10 and Big 12, but they're going to have to rename their conferences because they're looking at like Big 18 and Big 20 right now.
Yeah, next year the Big 12 will technically be the Big 18.
Yeah.
And the Big 10 will be the Big 20 or 22.
Yeah. So I think that's the way to go because eventually if you have 4 Power 4 school conferences, you do an 8-team playoff where the conference champions of each conference and then 4 at-large bids. So you can still get the UCFs in, you can still get the BYUs or the TCUs who have an undefeated season, but might not have a good strength of schedule. They might still get in, but I think you're still going to see a lot of the Alabamas, the Clemsons, the Georgias, but listen, you heard it here first. And I know we said this on the Mush Squad podcast coming out tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., the college preview.
Woo!
My co-host John is predicting that the Pac-12 is going out in style and that they're going to get 2 teams in the college football playoff. Washington and Oregon.
Not you. Whoa!
Not USC. USC.
Oh, man.
That's a little teaser for the Mush Squad podcast dropping tomorrow.
Y'all heard that. Our episode hopefully will drop probably either tomorrow or Thursday. So y'all need to listen to that episode. I know I will be catching tune of that when I'm driving home from work tomorrow. So I can't wait for that, man. That's phenomenal. Man, I feel like we've talked football, but there's literally one thing I want to talk about left. And this has been the news around the world about the NBA right now, is Noah Lyles' comments about the NBA. If y'all didn't hear it, let's find Noah Lyles' comments real quick so that we have the exact things that he said. Let's see. Where are you? So here we go. Is this exactly? Yeah. Okay. No, that's not what he.
Here it is. I got it here. Ready?
You got it? Because I'm reading one of them. Like, that is not what he said.
So Noah Lyles is a track and field superstar, quote unquote superstar. But he did win 3 gold medals this past weekend at the World Championships. So good for him representing USA. At the podium, instead of talking about his performance, instead of talking about how proud he is or thanking God, thanking his parents, et cetera, he says, and I quote, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? What he's trying to say is he doesn't think the NBA players are world champions. Don't get me wrong. I love the USA at times, but that ain't the world. This is not the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA, quote unquote. Merritt, what is this guy drinking?
I won't lie. Though how he came across was horrible, he is not wrong. And Greg Popovich, 12, 13 years ago, said the exact same thing. We call ourselves world champions, but we're not playing. The best team in the NBA is not going up against Latvia, France, Great Britain, Canada. They're not going up against these teams. So to quote us as world champions, though we are the best league, the NBA is the best basketball league by far. I can see where Noah Lyles is coming from. Just very horrible way of putting it, of course.
Also, why use that platform to bash the NBA? Like, how is that the one thing
that
you just won? You just won 3 gold medals. It's one of the greatest individual performances in world championship track and field history, not including Olympics and yada, yada. Why is that what's on the top of your mind? Maybe he's a smart man and he wanted to make clickbait, and more people know who Noah Lyles is now than did before the weekend started.
I had no idea who he was. I won't lie.
Right. And I'll be honest, he won 3 gold medals. If he kept his mouth shut, I still would not know who he is.
Exactly.
No offense, Noah. But I mean, the greatest players who play the game of basketball in the entire world play in the NBA. The face of the NBA, if you're kind of fading out of the LeBron, Kevin Durant discussion, it's Luka Doncic, who's from Latvia or one of those European countries. He's one of the faces. He's the face of the Jordan brand. He's the face of the Dallas Mavericks, one of the best point guards and perennial MVP caliber player in the league. Just because he's not playing for a team in Europe and meeting the NBA champs in a playoff scenario means it's not a world championship. I understand where you're coming from. I understand Popovich has said something. I understand what this guy said. But if there's any other teams in the world who could challenge the world champion, where are they?
That's true. I agree. I agree on both sides because of where he comes from with it. He won 3 gold medals. We don't talk about it. We don't say, oh, dang, worried about, because we don't pay attention to track and field. It's not something that we all care for. We all care about the NBA. We all love watching basketball. Well, majority of us. So I get where he's coming from. Just wrong place, wrong time. Next time, think before you speak type deal. Like, bro, you are getting destroyed all over the place right now. So maybe better luck next time.
And what I will say is, you look at the world champion Denver Nuggets, and their 2 best players are Jamal Murray from Canada and Nikola Jokic from, I don't want to misrepresent him here. He is from Serbia. So Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. He won the NBA championship, was the MVP of the finals, should have been the MVP of the regular season, but that's another discussion for another day. He's from Serbia, playing in the NBA. If that doesn't show the worldwide reach of the National Basketball Association and why the champions who win the NBA finals should be claiming the world championship titles, then I don't know what does.
I agree. And honestly, with that, I think that's, to me, it's the best way to end this whole podcast right there. Besides me throwing in 2 things. 1, if you're a West Virginia fan, please go check out the new merch dropped on the Book Exchange. The Fire jersey, I cannot wait to wear it in a couple of weeks. So the Backyard Brawl. Also, I teased something earlier. Next week, we are going to have a former West Virginia basketball player, potentially 2, join the podcast from Japan. So fingers are crossed, everything works out. But guys, very, very excited about bringing these guys on. Joe Mac, you got anything else before I probably fumble through this outro for Kevin?
No, I'm good, Merritt. All I'll say is, first and foremost, I appreciate both you and Kevin for having me sub in, tag in as Kevin's tag team partner today. I'm looking forward to a potential next wrestling episode. We haven't done one of those in a while. I know you're excited about that.
Always, dude. I'm always excited just to pull a name out of the hat and mess with Kevin. It's always fun.
And then if I could just get some plugs as I'm out the door.
Go plug you guys right here.
Anywhere you stream podcasts. You could stream my podcast, the Mush Squad Podcast. Me and my best friend John host that on a weekly basis. We do a lot of what Merritt and Kevin do here on the Manly Musings podcast, but we kind of dive in deeper to two stories, whether it's week 1 of the NFL or a college football controversy, whatever the case may be. Our last few episodes, we recapped each division, previewed the NFC, AFC, East, West, North, South. So check those out. We're dropping tomorrow our college football preview episode. And then big news coming out of the Mush Squad land. On Thursday, we're premiering our second podcast, the Bow Down Podcast, which is solely focused on the Washington University Huskies football team. I know, very niche to say that, but our partners at Belly Up Sports gave us this opportunity to do one of these team-centric podcasts. So it'll be a quick hitter, 20, 30-minute episodes recapping the weekly game, previewing the next game, and then hopefully getting some players on towards mid-season. So super excited about that. But anywhere you can stream podcasts, you can listen to the Mush Squad podcast or the Bow Down podcast. Merritt, I appreciate you, my friend.
Joe Mac, that was fantastic. I wish I could just end it on that. But guys, honestly, if you want to listen to one of the, in my opinion, one of the best sports podcasts out there, please go listen to Joe Mac and his buddy on the Mush Squad podcast. God, that's a tongue twister sometimes. Go check them out. Like he said, anywhere you could stream podcasts, Apple, Spotify, I think Pandora does it, Google Play, Amazon Play. Go check out the Manly Musings. We drop episodes every single week. You can follow myself on Instagram at MerrittP_. You can follow my normal co-host, Kevin, at KQueva624. And then, of course, go follow the Manly Musings podcast on Instagram. Follow us on Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, get us out there. We are trying to keep growing this stuff, guys. So, hey, we'll be back next week. So, peace out, y'all.